on my whistle.
All right, this is CBR number 4. This is the women's 4-5 race, and we're just opening up here with a kind of like a lead-in from the mentors in this race.
My plan for this race was to be a little bit more aggressive, try to stay in the front part of the race, and try to be there at the end. So I ended up on the front here and thought, okay, I guess I can take advantage of the mentors leading us out to the U-turn. But then I was going back and forth with myself of not exactly sure what the rules are, because this is the only course that has any kind of mentors. And
Those
then
are some great lines right there too.
I didn't know if I had to wait behind all of the mentors, which I believe that you do in a neutral rollout, and then they were supposed to be showing us the line, but they were all over the course, so I knew it wasn't exactly the optimal line. So I was a little bit confused right here.
Yeah. I spoke about the mentors in another video about I don't believe they should be out there in actual competition. I love that they're willing to volunteer their time and show people things. And to give them credit, I believe the gentleman in front of us right here, he did stay with a junior rider pretty much majority of the race that had really fallen off the back. She was giving a great effort, but I think he was just showing her some support, which is kind of what they said they're there for, and if anyone's dangerous. But later in the race, there is an incident where one of the mentors comes up to someone that's in contention and kind of gives them some tactical advice, which I do not agree with at all, and you'll see that later in the video. So here, Ellen, loves to disobey her husband, and she's off the front putting in way too much work.
Yeah, I did not realize that I would be off the front, so I did look down at my watts every now and then, and I was trying not to do too much, but I think a little bit of adrenaline, and I ended up doing more power than I wanted to. I just kept thinking that the field was going to come by me, and I was planning for where to get on a wheel. A few times I wasn't even sure which way the course was going to go. This is the first time out here, so I kind of took just a middle line, trying to prepare for people to pass me to jump on their wheel. That was my plan.
Yeah, definitely. You're definitely taking the middle line. And obviously when you have some open air like this is the time where you get to choose your own line. You can hit the apexes that you want, and you can carry as much corner speed as you want to when you're out front. I think not this turn. This turn you tighten up a little bit here, and you don't exactly hit an apex or anything, but you kind of come close. But the next turn you actually get it right. You get it pretty good, and you do a decent job of carrying some momentum here, and you've dropped the watts a lot, so you're not putting in too much power right here.
I definitely settled in and was a little bit more comfortable now, and now I said, well, if they're not going to pass me, I'm just going to ride. I'm going to do a little bit less power and just try to take some better lines. So I think the nerves had wore off just a little bit, and I was settling in and still off the front though, which is not where I wanted to be.
Yeah, and I'll also give some more credit to CBR and just how they run their races. It's pretty cool to come to a crit or circuit. I know they say it's a circuit, but honestly it's still more like a crit. It's a timed race and not like a lapped race or whatever. But each time you come, the race is a little different, definitely a little more difficult as the season goes on, and it stresses a lot of people out, and this race was no different. The way the course setup is, it caught a lot of people out on this day, and there's a lot of people that struggled or got dropped throughout the week or throughout the day.
Watching the previous races, almost in the first lap, the field was tore apart, so it definitely was challenging. This way in the U-turn was less challenging, in my opinion, than the first time we did the U-turn the other way. Coming out of the U-turn, there was just a lot steeper hills. So here there are some people starting to pass me.
Yeah, look, you're not alone.
I am trying to figure out how to get over and get on a wheel, which I see I could have taken advantage of jumping on Lisa's wheel, but I think I'm still a little bit too nice and not quite assertive enough to kind of inch my way in and take a wheel. But here I try to get up and
Okay, here's a good thing to point out. You look at everyone's cadence, and everyone's kind of pedaling a little bit too fast here. I love a fast cadence, but I think here going downhill, you can drop to a slightly harder gear, drop your heart rate a little bit, and pick up a little momentum. And also the film here, where you can see Ellen's right in front of the camera. This film is courtesy of Two Wheels and a Girl, and we definitely appreciate that she's been out videoing, recording the races and posting them on her YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, it's definitely going to help me. I can see a few times where it's almost embarrassing how far away from people I am. So thank you, Summer. I will get better from watching your videos, and yeah, hope to not be quite so far away from people anymore.
Yeah, here's like just a spot where you guys can make up a lot of ground there with the speed being so high. Just depending on what line you take, you can definitely make up a couple of places there. And just getting ready for that U-turn, obviously where there's riders in the way can kind of force you to take a different line sometime. But for the most part, I think people go into the turn way too hot, and it's more important to come out of the turn with speed than it is to go into it carrying too much speed. You want to have a good setup for the exit, not necessarily going into it as fast as you can. This is where the separation is made here, coming out of it faster.
Definitely the better line is out wider. I think sometimes I'm less comfortable just, if someone crashes on the inside, there could be the tendency to take out people on the outside. So sometimes I think about that more than I should, instead of just taking the outside line and going faster out of the exit. But here, I try to get on Jessica's wheel.
No, you don't.
Well, in my
You're
head,
looking at Jessica's wheel, but I don't think you're trying to get on it.
in my head, I was.
Yeah. No, definitely. There's enough wheels here that you can get on. Just slide to your right a little bit, or you can move up, and you could have been on Jessica's wheel. Or Samantha's wheel.
I'm still trying.
Yeah, either one. But yeah, I think you're just catching a lot of wind here. You can tell by the watch you're doing close to 300 watts at the time, and yeah, that's going to tax most Cat 3 riders. That's going to tax Cat 3 male riders. That's going to tax if you're doing 300 watts a lot in the wind by yourself. So yeah, definitely take advantage of the draft whenever you can.
This race, I don't think I did it at all.
No, but you did a great job of racing this race. The last couple of weeks you've been a little passive, hanging around the back, and you definitely were not hanging around the back this week. You're up at the front majority of the week, and I think that's a great improvement.
Well, thank you. I know how to be at the front, and I know how to be at the back, so let's work on being in the middle.
No, let's work on being at the front at the end of the race.
Exactly.
Yeah, so no, I think again, this is one of those difficult races. I think all the women have been doing a great job of picking up the pace as the year went by. So everyone's learning different tactics and just how to hold momentum, and the speeds are getting faster. And obviously when the speeds get faster, that's gonna tax people, especially right here on this portion of the course when you go up the little incline.
Another thing worth noting is this race, it was announced that the points leader in both categories, I believe her name is Heather O'Brien, she moved up to category 3, and so everything was up for grabs. So that added kind of a little twist for anyone trying to put themselves out there and take advantage of the points.
Yeah, and I want to give a little shout out to Sirius Cycling, and I can't remember the young lady's name right now, but she stayed an extra couple days or so to finish this race before she goes off to college. And that's kind of a great reminder of, we've all struggled with COVID over the last year and a half, and we're still struggling with it. But, having people go off to college, and I work at a university as well, it's a sign of things kind of, getting back rolling again, and, maybe we can open up some things, and now that we know how to be a little safer and protect ourselves.
Here I am way out on the inside again, trying to make up some spaces, but I end up just kind of riding alongside people instead of making up the spaces. Here I go up a little bit.
Yeah.
But
And this is not bad here. You can carry can carry a lot of speed around the outside there. It's kind of like a 90-degree turn, but it's not so tight that you have to hit the apex and be cautious of running wide. This is another one too. If you're carrying speed, you can go to the outside. You kind of just drifted out there that time. But yeah, it's a strategical, it could be a strategy to take the outside and move up some spots if you're carrying speed.
So funny, the camera just does not lie. There's no argument of I was in there, this is what I was doing. Nope, I'm way outside coasting when I should have been trying to catch a wheel.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're way more competitive this week. The other weeks you were in the back by choice, you know, just not from not being assertive. But at least this time you're in the mix and you're being assertive.
So here's a take 2 to get on Jessica's wheel, and here I do a little bit better job. We both were probably too far inside and carrying a little bit too hard of a gear, so I had to do a lot of work coming out of the turn there.
Yeah, and these are some long laps. That U-turn is just another, you know, it's another deep effort. I mean, they have 2 hills, I believe. Is it 2 hills and a U-turn? So each time they come out of that U-turn, they're hitting close to 500-600 watts, and then every time up the hill, they're in the, you know, mid 300s or so. So it's not an easy race. It's pretty taxing, and yeah, I think you're doing a great job right now.
I wish I could just be a little bit more patient of just sitting in a little bit longer. I get real impatient of trying to be in the front. My goal was to be in the front like 5 to 8 riders, and so when I see a few more people passing, I'm anxious and trying to get back in the front because that was my goal. But there's no need. I can just sit in, be patient, ride somebody's wheel, and have a little bit more energy towards the end of the race, and you'll see that I did not have energy at the end of this race.
Well, there's a reason for that, and we'll get to it when it comes, but I think also you just have to be a little more assertive on which wheel you're following. Don't get pushed off the wheel so easily, and just own that wheel. Like, this is my wheel, own it until you move to another one. See, because like Jessica here, you're kind of following her, but you're a little bit too far to the left sometime, which is good to be offset, especially in case someone brakes hard or anything like that. But if you're too far off the left, that's going to let another rider say, hey, there's a wheel for me, and they're going to kind of move in there and take that wheel from you.
For sure, which happens quite frequently. This is probably the best I do for the race of sitting in, so thanks, Jess, for the ride.
For the nice pull. Yeah, and see, here's something that's natural. Like right there, you took the better line, and that's kind of why you drifted off Jessica's wheel, because the Peloton or the group faded to the right a little bit, but you took the actual better line there. And here you're obviously out to the outside. Instead of taking this time to move up, you don't want to move up when you're putting in heavy watts. Just sit in here, and you can move in on one of the faster turns with no watts basically, and you can make up some spots there instead of moving up here, especially when you're one of the heavier and larger girls in the race. You just want to sit in here up the incline and take advantage of the draft. You guys are going most of the race, you guys are going 18 to 22 miles per hour up there, so there's still a significant draft.
I can also see I'm sitting up higher than what would be ideal. A little bit more aero position would be ideal, which I see a lot of us sitting up. It's easy to feel like you're much lower when you're in the drops, but really my arms are pretty straight and I'm way too high, and again out in the wind.
And
Look at that.
A little too high of a cadence again here too. It'd be easier for you to drop a gear, slow your heart rate down a little bit, and carry this momentum. And if you wanted to move up, instead of coasting here, you could have pedaled like 2 or 3 more times and made up a couple spots there. A good job of hitting the apex there though. Yeah, I think this turn coming up is one of them that you can carry momentum to the outside here and make up some spots. As everyone coasts right there, you can kind of carry your momentum to the outside.
Yeah, it's just tough setting up for the next corner, which is the U-turn, and it goes to the opposite. So we got one more corner here and then the U-turn, but
yeah, it's pretty easy. You have time though. The U-turn's not as close as you think, so even here you can like work to the right like you're kind of doing, and that sets you up for the U-turn. So this is kind of like the best time or one of the best times that you've set up for the U-turn. Going wide here to the outside. You want to scrub off speed before the U-turn. You're not going to make up any speed here carrying too much speed to during a U-turn. You actually just increase your risk of crashing, tucking the front or something, or running wide here. But you did set up pretty good here. You got a lot more momentum here coming out, and that was a much better U-turn for you. As you can see, Jessica's not pulling away from you, and you're probably putting in a little less watts than she is right there.
It's funny, we seem to find each other at the U-turn every time.
And look, your momentum carries you right up the field. That's a great job right here of moving up. I mean, obviously you'd like to have someone in front of you, but you're doing less than 150 watts, so yeah, that's a great opportunity to move up there and just carry your momentum to the outside.
It seemed like all the wheels were pretty much taken.
Yeah, turns right here is a great place to move in on a wheel. Almost every time there's a turn, someone slows down too much or there's an acceleration, and that's a great opportunity to kind of move in on a wheel. Just something that I try not to do. I don't bump teammates off of their wheel if I can help it. But when it's non-teammates or whatever, yeah, I'll move right in if that wheel presents itself.
And again, here I am in the front doing way too much work since I couldn't find a wheel and was not patient to just wait till the corner till I could take a wheel. I am in the front.
Yeah, and even riding next to someone closely, even though you're not behind their wheel, you still have a drafting benefit there. I'd say it's a pretty good job though, using that apex there. It was an early apex, but you can early apex when it's a wide turn like this. The optimum line often is a little bit later of an apex, but early apex is fine when you either want to protect or when there's enough room that you don't have to worry about running wide.
Yeah, and here I'm not doing too much power, but it still is
still more than the
taxing.
person behind you. Yeah.
and it takes a toll. And thus far up until really this race, my fitness has been able to carry me. It hasn't I've used too much and haven't been able to find a way to be there at the end, but I think I've relied a little bit too much on my base, which my fitness is definitely down from my little ankle sprain, and so I should not be out here doing threshold and above.
Yeah, definitely. You should be, especially again, we're on the incline here, and a lot of the lighter girls are, here they come now. You should be definitely sitting in behind some of them on this turn here. I mean, it's different if you're going to attack, but if you're going to just ride threshold or something, yeah, you should be sitting in and drop that down to tempo or sweet spot and not get as taxed, not raise the heart rate as high as that you do.
And so that's what I intend to do here is sit in.
Sit in the wind.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. You do take a better line, but hey.
I was trying to get on Sam's wheel here, but I'm next to her.
Yeah. Well, this here is the moment of truth, and this is where you kind of make a mistake. You had no intentions of going for the Supreme, and because you floated up to the front there, you end up going for the Supreme. Did not get it, and that just kind of blows you up right there. Look, you're at 186, and that's pretty much maxed out for you. You never hit 190 on your heart rate, and now you have a lap to go, which this next lap is a preem lap too, so the pace is going to get high. And that's just something you got to think about. Going for a preem with only a couple laps to go is a recipe to get popped.
Yes, it was Sam being silly there.
Sam celebrating the preem.
It was almost instinctual. I had no intention of actually going for the preem, and then it almost just happened. So I don't know if it was a little heat getting to my head or what, and then you don't even give it a good effort if you're gonna go for it. So I gave a hard enough effort to really wear myself out, but
yeah, if I remember correctly,
I waited till Sam started going to go after her.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, you were really spinning there. You're not in a heavy enough gear to really accelerate.
Yes, I didn't change my gear at all because I was planning to just stay.
Well, because you just came off a climb,
wheel.
So you're going to be in an easier gear coming off the incline, and you needed to shift to sprint downhill in, and you just kind of spun out, bouncing, raising your heart rate.
Yep, sounds about right.
Yeah. And again, I believe this is a preem lap, so it's not going to slow down any. It's going to get hotter here. Look at all those different lines. Sam went in almost first and came out 8th. And that's just from taking the tight line there. And obviously she's a little taxed too from winning the preem a couple minutes ago. And so here the pace is still, it's dropped down a little bit. Like you guys are only hitting about 20 here. But, you know, everyone gets taxed from the preem. And lately, like mid-season on, they've been doing a good job of having back-to-back preem laps and just really taxing the field before the finish. And I think that's something that everyone needs to be aware of. And if you're not interested in preems, if you want a higher finish, yeah, those preems at the end of the race, they're just, I mean, I can't say they're not worth it, but
There's a good little battle going between Lisa and I'm not sure the rider next to her going for the wheel of who's in first place right now. I had pulled up alongside and then I said, well, 3 of us can't really go for the same wheel, so I'm trying to figure out how to get on Lisa's wheel here.
that's the opportunity right there. Remember, 2 turns, even though obviously there's somebody there right now. But yeah, you got to figure out how to get back in, either by going forward or going backwards, but you got to be able to get back in because you're just doing a lap here in the wind again. And even though the watts aren't that high, it's still taxing, and you can still, you know, make up some marginal gains just sitting in the wind on people that's out doing the effort.
The wind, it just was a hot day. I needed to feel the breeze in my face, I think.
I think everybody does. If you look, there's 3 abreast up there, and all 3 of them are putting in probably equal effort instead of taking advantage of someone else's effort and sitting behind them. So you guys are doing a decent pace. Yeah, you guys are doing a decent pace. So it's kind of a waste of energy for some of the girls. Yeah, so I think we're down to maybe 2 laps to go. I'm not really sure if this is, going into 2 laps to go.
Yeah, I think coming around it'll be 2, and then pretty soon I won't be seeing the field. So there goes Jessica. I think there was a little break that is about to happen crossing the start-finish line.
Yeah, this is they go for a preem, and then after the preem, they're kind of just off the front, so they continue on off the front.
It's a little funny. I'm not sure if we'll get it on camera, but I thought that they had some real good team tactics going, and I was thinking we never were going to catch them because I saw, when I saw it was Jess and Sam and one girl, I think a serious cycling girl, out in the break, and then Feline was on the front, and I thought, okay, she's trying to slow down the pace, and I was thinking we're never going to catch them with some good team tactics. And then from the video that we see from, I guess we'll get to see it, so we'll wait for that.
Yeah, I think she was referring to the part where the mentor comes up and says something, but
no, I was referring to when the breakaway is happening and Summer does a pull to try to catch him and then realizes that she was chasing her teammates and backed off, and then Feline came around, and so I'm not sure if Go Fast pulled him back, but
yeah, you guys are picking up the pace again. Like I said, I don't know if they're off the front already now or if this is the other preem lap right before the finish. But you guys are back up to 25, 26. I know sometimes you've been coming through here at 28. And I think there is kind of where you lose some ground because you start coasting, but that turn is really wide and there's really no reason to coast because you can pedal through that one. And I think you've lost 3 spots right there just from coasting through that turn and running wide.
and I think I am out of gas.
Possibly.
I'm pretty sure that's what I was feeling. Yeah, my heart rate is pretty high, and I just am not feeling much.
Taking that tight line. Yeah, you know, it's funny that you had a philosophy of taking the tight line saves you from a crash, but it also puts you in position to have your front wheel chopped by someone that took the wide line and now they're exiting the corner. And yeah, so it's not necessarily safer coming in the inside. And if you ever carry a little bit more momentum, you won't be able to stop and you'll be the one causing that crash. Jump on a wheel. That's a perfect wheel right there. The serious cycling rider. You could have jumped on that wheel. Now that wheel, but yes, if you're gassed, you're gassed, and it's easier said than done. We've all been there. I'm sure I'll be there again soon. But yeah, I think you did a great job overall.
And this was, I believe the mentor was telling me to not drop a wheel at all costs. So, and again, I'm not sure it's what I know I should be doing. It's great advice. I'm just not sure that constitutes for things unsafe, which is what they say in the beginning, that they're only going to be telling us things if we're doing something unsafe.
And to be clear, like, I kind of hate saying this. I know the mentors mean 100% well. I don't think they're out there trying to do anything that could be a conflict or anything like that. But just, this is kind of what is possible to happen. And if you can see the mentor past Ellen right there, and she's riding up to the group in front, and I'm going to let you hear what she says. This is where she goes up to a rider that's in contention. There's no unsafe move or anything else, so I don't know why she speaks to the rider, but here it So I don't know if you could hear it or not, but from what the writer told us, which we did not solicit that information, we didn't even know the incident happened whatsoever. That was someone else's video that was played right there. But from what the writer told us is the mentor came up to her and said, hey, you have two teammates off the front, you need to get up there, or something to that effect. On the video, I can hear her telling her, hey, you have two teammates off the front. Just don't know what else she said, and not exactly sure why she said anything to her, being that she was in the front group on a wheel, not doing anything unsafe for herself or to any other rider. So to me, that's tactical information, and I don't think the mentors or anyone should be giving tactical information in a race that's not a part of the race.
And I definitely agree with that. And at the very minimum, it should be equal for either men's, women's, juniors. So I think it just sets us in a different state to have that information out and, mentors out with us when it's not consistent. So
yeah. And to be fair to the mentor too, maybe it's just not communicated correctly, because the mentor may have just saw that as a teaching moment, but I'm not sure if the mentor knows what their team tactics are to begin with. So she probably shouldn't give that rider any advice regarding what her teammates are doing at the time. And yeah, so anyway, that's just what happened. It's a kind of a joke, but we don't make the news, we just report it, I guess. But yeah, so Ellen here is basically popped that preem, kind of popped her going for that preem, which obviously she didn't need it, didn't plan on doing it. And once you use that energy though, it doesn't come back fast. So if the pace picks up after you go for that preem, this is where you may find yourself. And this is basically the last lap, and now she's kind of off the back. So are a bunch of other girls, but yeah, you got to suffer at home now.
yeah, looking back, leading the first lap and another lap in the middle, I did just way too much work, and I was done. I really did not have any gas left about the time I was getting dropped. So I was just trying to not get pulled and just do the best I can to get in. But when the riders are so far up the road, it's over.
Did you say doing your best not to get pulled? Yeah, you can't get pulled in half a lap. This is the last lap. So, Ellen, I know when you have a big circuit like this, it feels like you're way behind. She's not way behind. I mean, yeah, she's off the back of the front group, but she just basically got dropped on the last lap. That was it. Yeah, she was never in danger of being pulled of the race or anything like that. It's just the circuit is so big. Each one of these laps, I believe, are almost 4 minutes. So in our normal crits, the laps are less than 2 minutes. So it's kind of like you're doing 2 crits. I know everyone calls this a circuit race, but I don't think it's technically a circuit race. It's still technically a crit. There's some specific rules that make something a circuit race. It's not just because it's not 4 corners that it makes it a circuit race, or that it's, you know, a mile and a half or whatever. That doesn't make it a circuit race either. I believe circuit races are not timed. They have lap distances, and this race still is ran by time, which crits are ran by time. So there's some other things that make it the technical answer for it. It's just off the top of my head, I can't think of them right now.
And that's another thing. I must just be tired, because typically they say that they're not even going to pull the women to just not impede the other riders. And that's another thing that I think, if we're really out there and about to get lapped, we should be pulled, because there's been a few cases where numbers have actually, you know, people have placed higher because they think that they are finishing because they've actually been lapped, because they're finishing maybe with the field, or you know, if the field has been broken up. So I think, you know, it's unfortunate, but that's how we learn, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think earlier in the year it was a little different though. Some of the fields that you're talking about are like big, and there's multiple teams out there. Multiple races going on at the same time. In this one, I understand them not pulling riders because it's a large circuit. There was only 23, 25 riders or something, so it's a little easier to keep track of, opposed to when you have juniors racing at the same time and men racing at the same time. It can easily get confused when there's 100 riders on course at the same time, like say Rosarina Ranch or something like that, or Tour de Marietta Stage 2.
And in some fairness, I do believe that CBR has pulled some riders.
Okay.
So
Now they will be shadowing your field. If they come up and talk to you guys, that is because you did something to put yourself in danger or the riders around you in danger. So please listen to what they say. Keep your eyes looking forward, but listen to what they say. They're trying to help you.